Hi, 7th grade. We're going to go ahead and practice solving two-step equations. What I want you to do right now is pause the video and solve number 1 on your own. Here's what you need to do. You need to realize there's two sides to the equal sign, and we can't split apart these three p's until that -2, that -2, is away from the side, because that we won't be able to break it evenly until that's gone. So the opposite of -2 is a +2. And then I'm going to also add 2 to the other side as well. This makes your zero pair. And because 3p plus 0 is just 3p, you can leave 3p on that side, is equal to a -27. Okay, the last step is 3p. That's 3 times p. The inverse of multiply by 3 is to divide. You can also think of it as breaking apart those 3 p's, and to break something apart evenly means to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by a 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we're left with p is equal to, and then we have -9. Now, to check. If you take that -9 and plug it in for p's spot, like we did in expressions, okay, 3 times -9 is a -27, and -27 minus 2, that's just a minus, okay? You can think of it as negative also, but you can't use two symbols, it's just one or the other. That gives you a -29, so we realize that if we plug in our value for p up here, okay, our final answer using order of operations gave us the -29, and so we solved it correctly. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and go ahead and solve number 2. Okay, so we're going to draw our line going down. We have n split by 2, but what we need to realize is that we need to move this +5 first. Okay, it's the opposite of order of operations. The adding and subtracting is what we're going to try to do first, because this is division. And then what we need to do is put a minus or a negative. They mean the same thing. And what you need to do is realize that's a zero pair and a -5. Okay, so I'm left with n over 2. And 3 minus 5 is a -2. Now, this bar always means dividing by whatever's below it. Always. You have to include that with it. So the opposite of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. Now, I'm going to show you by putting 2 over 1 about why this makes 1. If you have a 2 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And that's our goal. If we have 1n, that is the same as just saying n. Okay? And that's a really bad n, but that's okay. So 2 times -2 is a -4. And then that would be our answer. So n is equal to -4. That's what you should have gotten. Now I'm going to check. -4. And division comes first for regular order of operations. -4 divided by 2 is a -2. And a -2 plus 5 is equal to 3. So I realized when I plugged that -4 in for n, I got that same answer that was on the other side of my equal sign. And that's how you can check. Okay, we're going to skip number 3. And I want you to go ahead and solve number 4. So pause the video and try solving on your own. Okay, here's what you should have done. Drawn your line going down. This d divided by 2 has to come last. This adding and subtraction part will be what comes first. So the opposite of a -7 is a +7. That's what makes your zero pair, the negative and the positive of that same number. And I'm going to add 7 to the other side as well. So I have d divided by 2 is equal to, and then 7 plus 4 is 11. Now, this division bar means divided by 2. The opposite is to multiply by 2. If I have a 2 up top and a 2 below, they cancel out because they make 1. I'm left with d is equal to, and what I do to one side, I do to the other. So I have 22. Now here's how we're going to check. Go ahead and plug 22 back in for where that d variable is. So d is 22. I'm going to plug it in where the d was. So division always comes first in regular order of operations. 22 divided by 2 is 11. And then negative 7 plus 11 is 4. So I know I've solved it correctly because I got that same number on both sides. Go ahead and pause the video and solve number 5. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is draw my line going down. This top part is kind of like a grouping symbol. So we're going to save that all the way until the very end. The other reason why is because that negative 4 is being divided by 2 and the x is being divided by 2. So this group is stuck over the 2 until this dividing by 2 is all gone. So I need to multiply both sides by 2. 2 over 2 is 1, so that just leaves me with negative 4 plus x. And now I have those numbers that can be moved because they're not being divided by 2 any longer. Divide it by 2. Okay, now I put equals, and then 6 times 2 is 12. Right, on this side, I have no more multiplying, I have no more dividing, I just have a negative 4. And so the opposite of negative 4 is a plus 4. That makes a 0 pair. That's my goal. 0 plus x is x, and I've isolated that x to be by itself. 12 plus 4 is 16. Okay, so now you could have checked it to make sure your answer is correct even without watching this video. So if you did negative 4 plus 16, because that's a group, you have to solve that first, you would be negative 12. Oh, positive 12, my bad. Positive 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6, and 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 6 is, in fact, equal to 6. So I know for a fact I've solved it correctly. So, go ahead and pause the video and try number 6. This will be the last one that I do with you. Okay, the last thing you need to do is draw your line going down. I realize that this is being multiplied, and so the opposite. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video really quickly. Okay, sorry that I had to redo that. So, what I'm going to do is I need to draw my line going down. I also now know that this is multiplying, and I have to take this regular 7 away, this positive 7, because I need to isolate this variable, and I can't split those negative 4 x's apart until this positive 7 is gone. So the opposite of positive 7 is minus 7, and that makes a 0 pair, and this is a minus 7. Okay? So the one thing that you need to remember is that after you solve this, so we have 15 minus 7, and so you're left with 8 equals, and this is a negative 4x. That negative has not been used yet. It needs to stay with it. Now here's where people often make the mistake. This represents a negative x. A negative x. I'm sorry, these are terrible. Negative x. Negative x, and one more negative x. I am splitting apart these negative x's. I'm not just splitting apart 4, I'm splitting apart negative x's. So that negative also needs to be split, not just the 4. The negatives can cancel, the 4's can cancel. 8 divided by negative 4, I'm left with a negative 2 is equal to x. Now you can double check. I have a negative 2, and I know that negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8 plus 7, and 8 plus 7 is in fact 15, so I know that I have solved it correctly. Okay, go ahead and do the rest on your own.